Our guest today is the director of the NATO Host Committee. In 2007 and 2008, she served as Chief of Staff for Mayor Richard M. Daley. In December 2008, our guest today left the mayor's office to become president of the Chicago 2016 Olympic Committee. She is currently a principal at the John Buck Company, which is a real estate development firm. Our guest today sees the NATO Summit as a unique opportunity to showcase the city of Chicago to the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Lori Healey. Lori?
Thank you, Jay. And thanks to having such a great crowd here today. It's my honor to be here to address the City Club. And I must say, Jay's asked me innumerable times over the last few years to come here. And this is the first and last time that I'll be at the City Club. But I did want to take the opportunity to thank Jay as well as the board of the club for having us here today. Planning for the NATO Summit has really been a huge, huge team effort. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our partners at the city, certainly the mayor for his great leadership, the mayor's office, the police department, OAMC, all the other agencies of city government, the members of the city council for their terrific support. The state of Illinois, Governor Quinn has been a great partner, Jack, Andy, Sean O'Shea, who's here, Sean's here someplace. Jan Costner from the Illinois Bureau of Tourism has been a terrific partner with us in helping to promote Chicago and Illinois throughout the world. And the county, President Preckwinkle, Mike Masters, and a number of the other elected officials at the county level. This would not be possible without the coordinated planning that everybody has put into this over the last several months. Now, additionally, I want to recognize our parent organization, World Business Chicago. Michael Sachs and Rita Athis have been really, really important in getting this put together. The Chicago Council on Global Affairs, Marshall Bouton and his staff, Lester Crown, everybody who's led the public policy discussions around why this is important for the city of Chicago. The Chicago Convention and Tourism Bureau, now known as Choose Chicago. Don Welsh and his staff have been incredibly helpful as we've put together the marketing materials around this. The Illinois Restaurant Association, where we'll be tomorrow, they've been a great partner for us. I saw John Chico come in, the Greater North Michigan Avenue Association, Chicago Loop Alliance, and innumerable other organizations have been great in preparing for the summit. Now, I would also like to thank the members of our host committee, our donors, many of whom are represented here today. Our Welcome Committee, which is representative of organizations, institutions, and communities across the city, as well as Chicago's incredibly strong consular corps, 79 strong, who really act not only as representatives of their home countries, but as ambassadors for the city of Chicago, and they're our day-to-day go-between with the visiting delegations that are coming in. And certainly, last but not least, I want to recognize our team, as well as our outside team members, who've done a terrific job of really making sure that this comes together. It's not always easy, but I think that we're in a good place and where we need to be right now. You know, as the host committee, we've experienced a lot of firsts and reached a lot of milestones over the last 6 months. From being named the host committee for both the G8 and the NATO Summit, and then having the G8 relocate not quite 2 months ago to Camp David, to developing a global Crossroads branding campaign, and developing 2 versions of our website, our email addresses, and all of our marketing materials, and getting it changed in very rapid fashion. From presenting a mini taste of Chicago in cooperation with Choose Chicago and the state of Illinois to the Secretary General of NATO and the NATO headquarters staff in Brussels, to raising more than $36 million in private donations to ensure that taxpayers would not have to bear the cost of this summit. It's truly been a very challenging and very exciting series of events over the last several months. And now, with only 19 days to go, but who's counting, I'm pleased to share some economic news. Recently, World Business Chicago commissioned an economic impact study, which was prepared by Deloitte. This report will be available after 1 p.m. today on their website, which is www.worldbusinesschicago.com. Now, over the last few weeks, Deloitte has worked with World Business Chicago and the host committee to account for the estimated expenditures, costs, and economic impacts of the summit, as well as related events, to the city of Chicago. These findings include the following. The summit, as well as its planning phases, will inject an estimated $123 million into the city of Chicago economy. The city will receive over 18,300 summit attendees and staff, contributing more than 44,000 hotel room nights. Now, ancillary events, such as the Nobel Peace Laureate Summit that was here last week and a number of the Chicago Council events, will add an estimated $5.2 million, an additional estimated $5.2, 2,900 additional out-of-town visitors, and more than 5,300 room nights to the city of Chicago economy. Out of that, the city will accrue an estimated $3 million in fiscal impacts through tax receipts. This does not include any state or county tax estimates. And in total, to the city of Chicago, the summit will result in an estimated $128.2 million in total impacts, $3 million in tax revenues, over 21,200 visitors, and 49,300 hotel nights, many of them RONs, and close to 2,200 temporary jobs in the city of Chicago. Now, this is a tremendous return on an investment that does not cost the taxpayers anything. In my company, I'd get a tremendous bonus for producing that kind of a return. But additionally, I want to point out just a couple of things about this study, that it's very conservative in its estimates. Because of the rapidity with which things change and the time constraint that we had, the study does not include the estimated economic and tax impacts on Cook County, the 6-county metro region, or the state of Illinois, which would significantly increase this dollar amount. And finally, it does not include the impact of the expenditures of all agencies of the federal government in the months leading up to and during the summit, which for a variety of firewall reasons are not available to us at this time. Including those impacts would no doubt be a force multiplier and undoubtedly increase both the dollar impact and tax revenue collections estimate potentially significantly. So again, I want to estimate while this is tremendously conservative, it's also a huge return on an investment over a very, very, very short period of time. In addition to the immediate economic benefits associated with higher spending at hotels, restaurants, and retailers in the city, there are also the long-term economic benefits, such as increased domestic and international tourism and reinforcement of Chicago's brand as a world-class city, thanks in large part to extensive media coverage. Now, hosting the summit will also help solidify Chicago as a player in the global economy, ensuring continued growth and business development. Last year, the McKinsey Global Institute identified Chicago as one of 13 middleweight cities likely to be a megacity, and they define a megacity as over 10 million in population by 2025. And it was the only city that was not in a developing country. The study, in fact, estimated that Chicago and the metro region would rank 8th in the world in gross domestic product, GDP for cities behind New York, Tokyo, Shanghai, London, Beijing, LA, and Paris only. So Chicago's future is endless. Now I'd like to take a few moments and tell you where we are in our planning process. Now, as you know, just to reiterate, the summit takes place Sunday at noon at McCormick Place and concludes the following day after lunch at some point. We expect 7,500 delegates from up to 60 countries and NGOs, which include the European Union, the United Nations, and the World Bank. Additionally, we expect 2,500 members of the Foreign and Domestic Press Corps to be at the Media Center in Chicago, which is a tremendous opportunity for all of us to highlight the city. Now, briefly, here are some of the events that are planned for that weekend. On Saturday, May 19th, the Kids and Kites Festival, which many of you know happens in Chicago every year, will become a NATO event. As you all know, kite flying is a very important cultural event in Afghanistan. We're going to be working with the Assistant Secretary General for Public Diplomacy, Kalinder Garbar, as well as the mayor, to really highlight this activity for kids on Chicago's lakefront. Additionally, the weekend of the summit, many of you know, it's the Crosstown. And that Saturday night, we're going to be hosting the Young Atlanticists and a number of other individuals up at Wrigley Field with a NATO night at the ballgame. The first pitch will, in fact, be thrown out by the Supreme Commander of the NATO forces in Afghanistan, General John Allen, who played baseball in college. So it's going to be an interesting night up at Wrigley Field. The following day, in the evening, when the summit kicks off at noon, that evening we'll see a number of events that will be happening in downtown Chicago, largely in the museum campus. From the host committee side, we'll be hosting 2 events. One is the ISAF dinner, the International Security Assistance Force dinner, with over 30 heads of state at the Field Museum. Additionally, that night we'll also be hosting a reception for a multitude of NATO delegates who aren't at the more formal dinners at Navy Pier. And I'd like to thank my good friend Marilyn Gardner for being such a great partner, and Jim too, in planning for this event at Navy Pier. It's going to be a terrific opportunity to really highlight and show off the city. Now, as part of our investment, we've played a significant role in making sure that the Media Center at McCormick Place, and I want to thank Jim and his staff, Jim Riley and his staff, for being so great and working with us as well as our partners at the federal level, to really create a unique space to highlight Chicago. We've got presentations planned in that space by World Business Chicago, talking about business climate, the Chicago Convention and Tourism Bureau, or Choose Chicago, the Chicago's Department of Cultural Affairs, the Chicago Architecture Foundation, the Illinois Bureau of Tourism. Everybody's going to be able to come into that space that's been credentialed to talk about what we want these journalists to take home with them, which is, if you can't stay in Chicago, come back. Come back and visit us again in the future. Additionally, in that space, we're going to be featuring, again, a mini taste of Chicago. I think we've learned during this planning process that food has surpassed architecture as Chicago's reputation internationally. So we've got 7 city restaurants that will be doing cooking demonstrations in the Media Center for all the media that are there. And again, I can't say enough about how much work the Restaurant Association has done for us planning and leading up to the summit. And then we've got information kiosks located in the Media Center that will be manned by city ambassadors from all levels of government and from all of our partner organizations. So you can see there's a rendering of what the space is going to look like, and it's really, we really hope it'll provide that calm oasis for everybody as they're frantically filing their stories as news comes out of the summit. I'd like to take a moment again to thank our partners at the Chicago Council on Global Affairs for really taking the lead in the public policy discussions around NATO leading up to the summit. As many of you know, and I would recommend keeping track of those public policy discussions over the course of the next month on their website. Many of them are free and open to the public, and the ones that I've been to so far have been tremendously informative. As you know, last week we had the World Summit of Nobel Peace Laureates. It was a tremendous event for the city and really gave us the opportunity to begin this discussion of global issues. We've got the Global University Summit going on right now. I was at that this morning. There's over 200 university presidents and professionals from all over the world here. They normally have their summit ahead of the G8. They kept it in Chicago when the G8 relocated. So it's an ongoing global discussion. We've got the Global Economic Conference that's the end of this week. And the Stanley Foundation next week has an international conference. On May 17th, the Executives Club of Chicago, former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice is going to be speaking. We're hosting a women's leadership breakfast the day before, on that Friday the 18th, before the summit begins, with Assistant Secretary General Grabar and former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright to talk about women's issues in peace and democracy. And then finally, on the last day of the NATO summit itself, we kick off the 1,000-day food summit to really wrap it up here in the city of Chicago. Lots of global activities really pointing to Chicago's enhanced presence on the global stage. Now, just briefly, just a re-highlight of some of the Crossroads programming that we're working on. We've got an athletic Crossroads program. We're working with the Bulls in the Fire for kids 11 to 13 years old. On May 12th, there's going to be a tournament down in Washington Park where kids will compete. They'll be immersed in the culture of the countries that they sign up to play for. We've got a theatrical Crossroads program with the League of Chicago Theaters, and again, our culinary Crossroads program, which many of you may have seen the ads. There's ads all over every place. I can't again thank the Restaurant Association for bringing in international chefs from all over the world. They'll be in Chicago Public Schools on Wednesday morning to introduce kids to various cultures, and over 100 restaurants have signed up to participate during the month of May. Finally, one of the most important things is our work with the Chicago Public Schools. It's been a tremendous opportunity to interact with children. Last week, we had the opportunity to really experience something unique. We had a music exchange between Kelly High School in the 14th Ward on the southwest side and the Afghanistan National Institute of Music in Kabul over a video teleconference. Was a challenge because Afghanistan is subject to rolling blackouts at any time, but we got it to work for an hour. And there was a music exchange between the two institutions, and the kids got to ask each other's questions back and forth over a half-an-hour period of time. It was an incredibly moving experience, and one that I really think highlighted for our kids, and there's a number of media here, we talked to the kids afterwards. It was a great opportunity for them and an eye-opening one to actually see and talk to kids rather than just read it in the paper or read it over the internet. Additionally, we are sponsoring a video contest, a Welcome to Chicago video contest. The entries were due last Friday. We're going to be announcing the winner on May 14th, and at that time we'll be also talking about where that video is going to be shown for all the visiting delegates and the media over the weekend of the summit. We're sponsoring State Department hometown visits. Many of the liaison officers that are assigned to individual countries have Chicago roots. So right now we've got about 12 to 15 of them who are coming into Chicago the second week in May, and we've got them targeted to visit classrooms in the Chicago Public Schools to talk about their countries. A number of them are going to be moving around to do that. On the 18th, we're doing Passport on a Plate, back to the food theme. To Chicago Public Schools with the visiting chefs in a competition that the Consular Corps will actually judge. And then finally, we've been so fortunate to have, in addition to the Nobel laureates, we've had former Secretary of State Albright come to visit us and visit Lindblom High School in Englewood, which selective enrollment high school, 98% minority. She spent 3 hours with these kids talking about foreign policy, and they asked incredibly good, insightful questions, which I think really made her want to come back and have more interchange with the kids across the city. Now, before I wrap up, we'll do as we always do in our briefings. We want to talk about where, over the next 19 days, everyone can find out the most up-to-date information on what's going on with logistics. So, first of all, we have our website, chicagonato.org. It's a great resource in any case, even as a resident of the city, to talk about all the various programming that we're doing. And you can look at it as if you're a visitor coming to Chicago, too, because it links to all of our partner organizations' website, Choose Chicago, Explore Chicago, Restaurant Association. There's a number of things that it links to. Now again, and I'm going to point to my friend Gary Schenkel, the Executive Director of the Office of Emergency Management and Communication. We are really pushing everyone to sign up for Notify Chicago. It is the best source of up-to-date information on street closures and alternative transportation routes. It will be the mechanism that will be used to communicate with the public up to and during the summit itself. It will link to our website. I encourage everybody to sign up for it if you haven't already. During this time, we'll also have expanded 311 services. There's another website that the public safety agencies are always encouraging everyone to sign up for, which is preparedchicago.org. And I see Deb Kirby, Chief Deb Kirby over there. She is really the police department point person on everything to do with safety and security planning from their perspective. And then finally, I just want to note our partners here, Hillard Heinz. They've been working with the host committee. They're going to be working with us on a business communication center, which will have more information to roll out in the next couple of days. So with that concludes my presentation, and I'd like to take the opportunity to answer questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Lori. Brenda and Ginny are here, and there's some people circulating. If you have questions that you would like Lori to address, please hold them up, and they will be picked up. We'll give her a moment to relax, and then we'll get into. You ready? Mm-hmm. Okay. First question is from Joyce Saxon over there, member of the City Club Board. Joyce. Who is paying for the media center at the McCormick Place, and how much will it cost?
Well, build out of the Media Center is a joint effort of the State Department. The State Department bears the responsibility for building out everything in and around, inside McCormick Place to host the summit. We are contributing a certain dollar amount toward that, and specifically for the exhibit space about Chicago.
Okay, thank you. This is from Erica Pear, who I believe is sitting right up here at this front table. Do you need any volunteers, and who should they contact?
Appreciate that. Thank you very much. We did an outreach for volunteers several weeks ago, and as I'm sure you can understand, we have to go through a fairly rigorous screening process. Our volunteer training actually started today, so we're past the cutoff point for taking volunteers, but really appreciate the inquiry that you've had.
Okay, and now that we had a couple of those nice softball kinds of questions, we'll get to the heart of the matter. Ann Smith. I don't know where Ann is. Where are you, Ann? Ah, towards the rear. What impact do you anticipate that the summit and its protesters will have on North Michigan Avenue businesses?
Well, as you all know, there's been a lot of information put out about the permitted parades and rallies. Right now, there's nothing permitted for North Michigan Avenue. I don't believe, you know, and I certainly would point out our counterparts at the police department who've been working diligently with the city of Chicago and with the representatives of those groups to ensure that, as they want as well, which is the peaceful expression of First Amendment rights. So I think we all believe everybody's very well prepared for that, and that you know, we'll have the opportunity to put Chicago's best foot forward over the summit.
Thank you, Lori.
Who didn't turn off their phone?
Who didn't turn off their phone? Hearing is acute.
That's
Oops.
okay. It's okay. Sorry. Thanks.
This is yours?
That's mine.
Oh, thought I'd have a souvenir pen from the event. Gwendolyn Blake. Gwen, where are you? Right there, with Baker Engineering. She's obviously also a boat owner. When will we boat owners be allowed to bring our boats to Burnham Harbor and dock?
Well, that's something that I think we can get you the answer to, and I'm happy to talk to you after this is over, okay?
Sort of get this picture of Gwen out there at the crib, circling around for about a week or so, waiting to gain docking privileges.
You know, I think that there's been a number of conversations. It's not really the role and responsibility of the host committee on the Burnham Harbor issue, but it is a minimal impact. And as soon as the summit's over, it's my understanding that the boat owners will be able to return.
Okay, and well, your very first comment to us that this would be your first and last speech here really touched base with Anna Klochel from the Polish American Congress, Illinois Division. Anna, where are you? Ah, okay. Why would you, in your opening remarks, mention that it is your first and last visitor?
So that was just a little bit of an inside joke that Jay Doherty and I have had for several years. Hopefully, you know, I appreciate Jay so much and everything that he does for the city of Chicago with the City Club. So thank you very much, Jay.
Yeah, as Jay tells all of us, once we get someone here once, you know, you could become a regular. Gary will be back next year. We hope to have you back, Board President Preckwinkle, and so forth. So you're not going to escape with only one visit, Lori. Even if you ride your horse out of town, we'll bring you back here. Do we have any more questions? Whoa. Well, let's give Ms. Healey a round of applause.